It's a new day, oh, it's a new time, and there's a new way. Gonna live my life all in.
Hello, and welcome to this edition of Cover Your Assets. We have got Todd Rooker, Derek Walgrave, Craig Nestor, all at your service all hour long. 855-835-8500. Cover Your Assets, financial tactics for the 21st century. And this afternoon, hey, it's 4th and 13. That would be fourth quarter and 13 days to go. Where are you financially? And guys, aren't you glad we're not the Vikings?
Draft picks.
I'm just
Draft
saying.
picks.
Because if we're them, I wouldn't be too hopeful.
And draft picks.
Not at this point.
So you don't think they can pull it out still yet? Huh?
Not so much. I mean, with the last weekend, I just laughed. That last play, I literally burst out laughing, going, really?
Yeah.
Really? I mean, it wasn't going to happen. So let's explain to everybody here in our new time slot here at 3 in the afternoon what we do. We've been here on The Patriot for several months, talking all things foreclosure, defense, unbiased advice with Todd Rooker, and investment property and short sale specialist with you, Derek, and your brother, Jason. So what all do we do around here, folks?
We try to help people. We try to help people who are in financial distress or help people avoid ever being in financially distressed situations in the first place and give them tactics and strategies to minimize damage and prepare should something go wrong.
Now, last weekend, Todd, you had the Ultimate Credit Control Seminar at the Ramada near Mall of America in Bloomington. How did that go? Give us a little recap.
Well, it went great. It's credit is something that is so misunderstood by people. And, when you get into the topics and you really explain things, people sit there perplexed with their mouths open because they all believe if they simply pay their bills, everything's going to be great. And then moreover, that if they have a good credit score, then that just means they're going to get great loans and great interest rates. And there's so much more to all of this. And when you talk about credit, you're always really talking about financing because people equate credit with financing and assume that if I have a good credit score, then obviously I'm going to be able to get a loan. Or they assume that if I pay my bills, then obviously they're going to have a good credit score. And neither one of those things are necessarily accurate. So when you begin to uncover it and unravel how things really work, it's surprising, shocking, but it gives people the tools to be able to keep and maintain a good credit score and also rebuild one should they have beaten it up through a financial crisis.
And the calls that we get throughout the week here and the visits to the website, CYA21.com, that's a place where you can go to meet the team. And you can also download a copy of the Financial Crisis Bible. That's free. You can get to know the work that we do here. I mean, Derek, seriously, how often do you have to talk to, or do you talk with buyers and sellers about the credit aspect of things? It certainly bleeds into your business.
Yeah, absolutely. The FICO score and credit, that absolutely does. It has a huge impact on their capabilities of buying. And just to touch on what Todd's talking about, too, setting yourself up for purchasing a home, it's not necessarily always coming out of a distressed situation. A lot of times it can be in a situation where they're upside down in their house, which, they're going to Todd and they're understanding the potentials of buying up in the real estate and basically flipping that, that negative value in their house and the up value in a house that they're buying now. So again, the credit is obviously a very important, part of purchasing your home and understanding your budget and your credit.
And Craig, you deal with people who might be in a situation where they're seeing their credit slipping out of a zone where they're comfortable or where they may need to do some work on it, correct?
Well, a lot of times when I speak with people, their credit's not their concern. It comes down to cash or credit, and they've already made somewhat of a decision by letting their credit go. But having done this now for 3 years is that people come out the other side. Life does continue to go on through these crises, and it is very valuable to stay in touch with your credit during this. If you know you can come out the other side better off by making some different decisions today, you very often can do that. But without that information, you don't have the power. And what happens is, well, look, I'm not paying my bills. I'm just going to cover my head with this sheet. This will blow over, and I'll go without credit card. I'll just go without. There is another way to go about it, and a lot of that, again, Todd had a seminar last weekend, and it was a magnificent. Derek wasn't there. The Walgrave family.
Yeah, Derek, you weren't there.
Well, the Walgraves family's building a Mount Rushmore, and they're using Derek's face. He's got that chiseled look. And if your family was going to build a Mount Rushmore, you'd use Derek's face.
Thank you.
You think? Yeah.
Definitely the biceps. But you were saying, Craig.
Well,
Did you forget and scare yourself?
No, there is a way to come out of these situations, whether it's foreclosure or a short sale or if you're upside down. There is information available through this show and through the experts here that can put you in a better spot regardless of where you're at. Some people are in the middle of a crisis and they need a life preserver, and we're going to provide that for them. And some people are paying their bills on time, but they find themselves upside down in a world trapped in this economic crisis. And some people want to take advantage of everything that's going on, and they know that inside information in this type of economy can raise that level of income for their family, and they're looking to be an investor and being a buyer now. So regardless of where you're at, this show provides not general sweeping internet kind of stuff, but we provide the ABC tactical information on how to get her done.
And that's important. That's an important thing that you're trying to get out of the strategy of this. Because, I mean, if a consumer sees this coming and they come to Todd before it happens, they can put the strategy in place so they can minimize the damage to their credit and increase the recovery time on their credit. So those are key aspects of understanding that if you come to us before it happens, that's ideal because you're going to recover that much quicker.
Or maybe even while you're already in it. Because, Todd, I mean, I'm not in my 20s anymore, but when I was, I hit kind of a tough period of time and didn't have a good financial outlook. But years went by, I, earned and changed and things like that and ended up with a really good credit score. But I think what we're trying to point out here is by being concerted at a time when you don't really necessarily want to talk about this stuff, you can probably come out faster and better, right?
In a fraction of the time. And you can marginalize the impact that otherwise negative things might have if you do it properly. Mm-hmm. A perfect example is a person who will exhaust every resource that they have, pay their bills on time, inevitably run out of money, then begin to miss payments. And because they're so depressed and demoralized through the process, because now there is no financial resource left, everything's gone, they'll put their head in the sand and they'll go a year and 2 years and miss payments, have judgments, collections, and all of these different items that were out there. And then finally, at some point, they begin to pull their head out of the sand and begin to want to rebuild. Well, at that point, the preponderance of late payment, derogatory payment history is so overwhelming that it's going to take years to offset that with good payment history. And moreover, a lot of times their answer to the problem is they're going to stop using credit altogether, which means that nothing is going to be reporting going forward to offset that negative impact that's in the rearview mirror weighing their score down. How are you going to fix anything and offset the negative impact of late payment history in the past when all of the payments that you're making, things like rent and insurance and cell phone and utilities, aren't reporting to the credit bureaus at all with which to offset it? Now, we can talk about the fact that CoreLogic is coming out with new information. There's, non-traditional credit scoring, which is a whole other concept. Generally speaking, if you hear that, you should know that they're looking at getting more additional information, which is going to give the lenders an even better perspective. It's a scary proposition because more than likely the lenders are going to have a backlash because they're going to be able to see all the things that you've been missing in the past that didn't necessarily show up on a credit report, and that could actually be a bad thing. But nonetheless, if a person minimizes the damage and then they begin to reestablish credit in a short period of time with payments that are going to report to the credit reporting agency, which to most people, it's counterintuitive to think that I would go through a financial storm and then I would go out and get credit and begin to use it in an effort to offset my bad payment history. But that's precisely what you need to do. Having said that, if you don't have a budget, then you're going to wind up in trouble again. So you have to use it, but it has to be done just specifically to be able to manipulate a credit score, and therein lies the real key insights.
When people are trapped between the decision, do I short sell this property or do I let it go all the way to foreclosure, they're not thinking about credit at that point. They're thinking about cash, but really they need to be thinking about credit at this point, Todd, and that short sale or foreclosure decision. And I know we're coming into the break, Kelly, so maybe we pick this up a little bit afterwards, but I had a caller call into the show, has 2 rental properties. They're both upside down. Right now, both properties are missing a tenant. Both leases expired. They both left. They haven't been able to renew. The distinction between short sale and foreclosure on one's credit has got to be devastating, but it's not the actual event, or is it the event?
Well, it's not the only thing, and that's maybe the most important thing. It's not the only thing. I had a couple in front of me the other night, and she's on the mortgage, he's not. They've not missed a single payment, but they're going to. And they have this premise that, they're just going to let the mortgage go, and then he's going to go out shopping for financing. And I said, well, let me tell you something. If you're going to do it, you better do it right now, because if you don't, you're going to tell them the address that you're currently living at. And if they find out that that house is in foreclosure, you're not buying a house whether you're on the mortgage or not.
Aha. And there's a lot in what you just said, and definitely we'll pick this right back up here on Cover Your Assets, 855-835-8500. That's 855-835-8500, or online at CYA21.com.